Now, also Nitro Nerds here. This is tuning documentary part 2.1, we'll call it. It's the second video of the second part concerning a little video series I'm doing about tuning Nitro engines. Now, before we get to the nitty-gritty, excuse me, there's two things that I'd like to quickly focus on. First are rules of engagement, and then second, recap where we are up to this point, because the process it's a linear process. I'll explain as we get to that area. But rules of engagement, meaning that first and foremost, this process, it's not for everybody. I can tell you who it's not for probably better than I can tell you who it's for. It's not for these flatline bashers. So you guys can come in here and lurk, cherry pick, all of that bullshit. But good luck tuning your engines, because it just won't work for you. Now, for the edification of others who might be thinking, why wouldn't it work for this group of people? See, they don't have the heart for it. I've always said, this hobby is definitely not for the faint of heart. And so, for this process to work, you have to suspend anything that you think you know. It's that simple. Now, for these guys lurking all up in here, let's let Low Guy Voice kind of break it down for you.
I'll give you guys a real clear, explicit example. That fraud, that Rolex guy on this forum a while back, I came up with a fake product one time about clutches. And I was basically saying, how great this product is. It was a fictitious product and how it's needed for certain type of vehicles, blah, blah, blah. And he actually referenced the company one time, this fictitious company that I came up with. He actually referenced it in a post to somebody. So, in a way, you're giving me content, but I'm just getting too old, too long in the tooth. This is boring. You guys aren't even any kind of a challenge. Again, if you come in talking the bullshit, at least challenge me. And then finally, maybe once a year or something, I'll get not so much these frontline bashers, but I'll get one of these little faggot ass racers that maybe pop on, they look at a video or two of my Hyper 7 or something, and then they start bumping their gums about, man, bashing sucks, why don't you try racing, or why don't you take that vintage car somewhere out, like to the track or some shit like that. Well, first of all, let me just tell you something. See, what it is I can only afford like real inexpensive cars. So I don't have any high-end vehicles or anything like that. In fact, Mugans and Losies and all that, those are for suckers. That's how I feel about it. And, it's not like, this Hyper 7 turns heads at the track or any shit like that. So, I promise I'll try to do better, because this whole thing is geared toward your acceptance. Bitch. I'm telling you, you guys are amazing. Someone, don't come in here trying to bashing. Nothing in the damn world wrong with bashing. We bash we're proud of. So, close your ears, kids. Get the fuck out of here with that sort of snobby attitude. I promise you, I've been there, done that, with respect to having fools on the left look down on us because we bash, and fools on the right try to come down on us because we race. Again, we just do our thing and that's that. But as always, again, if you come in talking the bullshit, at least challenge me. That's how we do it. You know, right, Winston? Yeah. Alright, now let's recap where we are within this video series. First up, forget everything you might have learned from these frontline bashers. Next, we start this with the assumption that your shit, for the most part, is working correctly, and we then allow the engine to become heat saturated. Now, this again is something that I think is often misunderstood. So, you know, I hear people say, half a tank, people say a tank. There is no volume of fuel that heat saturates an engine. It just doesn't work like that. There is a state in which the engine becomes, right? Do you know what that state is? Can you recognize that state? Itself out. And of course, each vehicle and engine is different. But I would say the fastest I've ever done this on any vehicle has been a tank. So in my experience, I see people say half a tank. I don't know what they're doing, but it's at least a tank in my world. This OS25XZ right here on a 125cc tank vehicle, 3 tanks minimum. That's my experience. So once again, this is just a long-ass winded way of saying ensure that you do your due diligence and it's properly heat saturated. I mean, if you're gonna be about this, be about it. Don't cut corners. You frontline bashers, y'all are free to cut all the damn corners you want because again, none of this is gonna work for you. Stick with your half tank or whatever, but everybody else, trust me, think, listen, and you can use that temp gun here if you want, because those temps become steady. That's a good sign. But use that to learn how to listen. That's all. Nothing else. But so next, after I warm it up, I want to know what kind of state is that engine in. And I found that conducting the following exercise really helps me understand what it is that I'm working with. Listen, tuning these engines, it's no joke. I'm sure a lot of you have probably figured that out by now. So instead of saying, well, this engine can't be tuned, you need to get LRP. This engine has problems. Be about it. Understand it's what that current state is. And here's what I do to ascertain its state. First thing I'll understand is the engine working okay? Did I jack something up? In this instance, we're fine, but I did a complete rebuild on it, so don't ever rule out that ID10 error. And then second, these ancillary items. Don't gloss over this, fellas. because I promised that leaky component pipe or that clutch that's slipping, it will straight prevent you from tuning that engine. I don't care who you are, how long you've been doing it, and what you're doing. One thing's for sure is you're not going to tune that engine with those sort of issues. So you got to rule those out. Next we have setup. This one's pretty simple. The idea is to ensure that the setup is not preventing you from tuning. So in other words, if the tires were slipping on the ground, ballooning, causing an RPM lag, things such as that would be an issue. But it's not, so next up we have, is it T consistent? In other words, is the engine consistent? To give you an explicit example, what I'm looking for here is, does the engine go from rich to lean, lean to rich? Does it bounce everywhere? How's the idle? So even if it sucks, does it consistently suck? And then finally, does it respond to changes? This is the big one, guys. So in other words, if I lean out that top end, does it begin to at least endeavor for that top note? Same with the low end. If I dial that in, does it gain a little pop? So with that, now for something that I know everyone has been waiting for. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the worst intermission of all time. I woke up this morning, had me a little coffee, came downstairs. Normally Winston's bitch ass was waiting on me to go for a walk at the front door, but I couldn't find him. Here he is in my office. You see, it's raining today. He's not really with that, so he kind of punked out on me. That's okay. What I want to really call attention to is, why do you chumps act like you're the best dad in the world? Shit. Take a look here. You see already. What does that say? That's right. Take another look. So I don't see how it is any of you can claim to be the best dad in the world unless you got this shit right here. So guess what? This is going to be a 3-parter, because in the next video of this series, what I'm going to do is we're going to walk through the analysis. I'm going to show you examples of each exercise that I've pointed out in this video. I'm going to show you different engines, different scenarios, all that good shit. Basically, I'm going to show, and I'm going to show out. That's right, Nitro RC nerds. Taking out bitches, putting it down.